on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackwitz. This is the Kaged Review, and I'm going to review Monday Night Raw. And this is for 11/19/2018. And I gotta say, overall, I didn't think it was too bad. So I'm going to get right into this because there was actually a lot to this show. So you start out, Baron Corbin, Stephanie McMahon, Braun Strowman. Baron Corbin comes out, introduces Stephanie, says to Stephanie, since he pulled the clean sweep last night at Survivor Series, he should be the full-time general manager. Braun Strowman comes out, says, you owe me a match with Baron Corbin and with Brock Lesnar. So Stephanie McMahon's gives us the two dates for the two matches. TLC, he gets Baron Corbin, and then Royal Rumble, he gets Brock Lesnar. So that turns into a match with Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre. And that's against Braun Strowman, Elias, and Finn Balor. And this is an elimination match, so it's kind of like post-Survivor Series. They even said that. So the match basically goes, Finn Balor gets pinned, Elias gets pinned, and then when Braun Strowman is about to take out Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre comes in with a chair, and then all three of the guys on the other side, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Baron Corbin, they just work on Braun Strowman. They work his arm, and it was nice because one time they threw him in the steps, and he must have cut his elbow a little bit. There was a little bit of blood going on there, and so they set his arm on the steps, the lower part of the steps, and took the upper part of the steps and like smashed it down. And so it looked really good, because the blood's there, and it worked out really well. So that's Baron Corbin's way of trying to get one up on Braun Strowman. Okay, you're dealing with storyline, you're dealing with a match coming up, you're building things. It's good. From there, you have a Seth Rollins in-ring promo. He's talking about Dean Ambrose not facing him. Dean Ambrose is somewhere in the back on the Titantron, pops up, and he says, I'm back here, come find me. And so he does. Seth Rollins takes off and doesn't find him quite yet. Then you get Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Nia Jax and Tamina with Alexa Bliss on commentary. Alexa Bliss added a little bit to commentary. She's always got a great personality. The match itself, like, Sasha Banks and Bayley had the only entertaining parts of the match, and thankfully, I think they had the majority of the match. Now, obviously, there were parts where Nia Jax and Tamina had the upper hand. They kind of go back and forth. But the parts where Sasha Banks and Bayley had the upper hand, they were just fists flying. It was fast-paced. It was entertaining. The parts with Nia Jax and Tamina were not. And that's not even trying to be like biased over the whole Nia Jax situation. It's just what I saw. Like, they just weren't entertaining parts of the match. And of course, they're going to give the match to Nia Jax and Tamina. One who loses her breath very quickly, and the other one who just injures everybody she works with. And they're starting to play on this like fist thing now since he botched Becky Lynch. And it's like, it's not really a spot. Like, you're just a fail at most things you do. So you're basically acknowledging the fact that you suck. That's how I see it. So yeah, Nia Jax and Tamina get the win. Of course, I don't like who wins because I feel like it's sick that Nia Jax has got a big spot now because she fucked up. That's how I feel. Charlie Caruso, then it's like she's going to do an interview, but then Dean Ambrose comes on the monitor behind her and he's like, hey Charlie, go tell Seth Rollins I'm over here and blah blah blah. And so, cut to commercial, you come back, and then Seth Rollins is looking for Dean Ambrose, where Dean Ambrose said he was going to be. Of course, he's not there. Then you get a backstage bit with Drake Maverick with a bunch of wrestlers just making fun of him over the fact that he beat himself at Survivor Series. And two of them in particular are Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. So you know that's going to set up a match for later in the show, of course. And then you get an interesting match. You got Lucha House Party, but in the match, Kalisto, Grand Metalik, and Lince Dorado are all able to tag in and out, and they're up against the Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. So they got this new Lucha House Party rules thing. Doesn't make sense. You get one extra guy, seems kind of stupidly unfair, but I guess they don't think about the rules. But I will say I do like Lucha House Party. I like, the energy. I love the high flying aspect. Like, I've always said the cruiserweights are the workhorses of the wrestling business. Like, they just do the craziest shit, put their bodies on the line the most. And, I mean, get little credit for it, honestly. I mean, in relation to what most of the top guys get, like, these guys bust their asses and get very little for it at times. So, but with that being said, it was an entertaining match. Lose a house party. They pick up the win, and there you go. So then you get Charlie interviews Seth Rollins, and he's taking off. He says, Dean Ambrose is just playing a bit, and I don't want to be a part of it. I got a plane to catch, so it looks like he's leaving. And then you get Ronda Rousey. She has an in-ring promo where she says, I don't care how hurt I am. I'm going to beat Nia Jax, and then I'm going to finish what I started with Charlotte Flair, but I want a match tonight. Baron Corbin comes out. He says, I can't let you do that. She's like, well, it's either you find me someone to fight or you fight me. And so Baron Corbin says, fine, I'll go get you somebody. Turns out to be Mickie James. And honestly, I think they might have picked Mickie James because she is good in the ring as far as controlling herself, and she's a good wrestler. So, I mean, with as hurt as Ronda Rousey had to be, I think that was a good choice. And I will say, again, the crowd, I understand being behind Becky Lynch, and I absolutely support Becky Lynch. I think she is literally the most over star in the company right now. First time in history it's ever been a woman. I think that's great. But I don't understand why people are hating on Ronda Rousey because of the Becky Lynch situation. A, it was Nia Jax that screwed up Becky Lynch's spot. Now, I understand Ronda Rousey, might get some heat because people are Becky Lynch fans, but that's kind of over for now. And Ronda Rousey put on a good performance at Survivor Series and took a hell of a beating. So I actually have a lot of respect for her. So I don't really understand the crowd's backlash to Ronda Rousey. I really don't. I think it's stupid at best. That's just my opinion. Everybody has theirs, but I'm a huge supporter of Becky Lynch. But that doesn't mean I'm hating on Ronda Rousey. I don't know. I don't get it. So Ronda Rousey, of course, wins the match, and then you get this really stupid, inane, pointless spot where Nia Jax and Tamina come out. Nia Jax looks at her fist, looks at Ronda Rousey, and walks back to the back. It was stupid and pointless. Then you get Chad Gable and Bobby Roode versus Akam and Rezar, the AOP. And surprisingly, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable get the win. So this is setting up clearly a title match between the two teams. And it was a decent match. Chad Gable, man, the dude is freakishly strong for a guy his size. He really is. Like, the guy's, he's a powerhouse for sure. So yeah, Chad Gable, Bobby Roode get the win. I was surprised by that because they're definitely building AOP to be a couple of beasts. But I kind of like it at the same time. I do. Chad Gable, I mean, as far as his in-ring work, like, the guy's entertaining to watch. Like, I think the guy, has a lot of potential there. Now, if he could tap into a bit more of his personality, I think he'd be really good. So, we'll see what happens. Then you get backstage, Dean Ambrose bit. He's walking, and you can tell he's walking toward the ring. After that, you get Natalya and Ruby Riott. And Natalya gets the win, and, they kind of did the standard heel sticks with, the Riott Squad trying to interfere. Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan were all over the place. And then Natalya finally beats the odds, beats Ruby Riott. And I hope that's not where they end it, because it was a little anticlimactic, if you're asking my opinion, which that's what I'm here for. Yeah, I feel like it was, okay, Natalya's finally got one up on Ruby Riott, but, even though I hate the storyline, and I feel like it was just kind of overly done in so many ways. And WWE lately has this really, really bad habit of using real life death, real life fighting for your life situations, and turning them into angles. And sometimes I get it and it kind of works. Sometimes it just comes across as a little, I mean, it's kind of reprehensible, I think. I mean, sometimes it's like you have no respect for life, you have no respect for a fight for life, you have no respect for people who have just lost loved ones, and I would imagine in some ways it's even therapeutic to face it head on. But it just comes across as kind of slimy at times. So, yeah, Natalya, she gets the win, and there it is. And then Dean Ambrose, he comes out, he's cutting a promo to the crowd in the middle of the ring after kind of playing cat and mouse with Seth Rollins all night. And then Seth Rollins runs out to the ring, starts whooping up on Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose hits him with a low blow, gets the upper hand, and Dean Ambrose leaves the show, after a couple of dirty deeds on Seth Rollins and walking back up the ramp, and that's where they cut it out. And it was a good angle. I mean, we know they've got a match coming up, and again, it's building towards something, and it's, going to keep going with the storyline. I do hope they take the storyline for a while, like for a long walk. I want it to go past the next pay-per-view. I don't mind the slow burn. And I think this is one of those storylines where you should have a slow burn. So they started the show pointed in the right direction. They've got some focus. Okay, that's cool. We definitely have to start some new storylines after Survivor Series. You got Gable and Rude, AOP. That was a cool start to a storyline. So yeah, man, I really like a lot of things they did. Obviously, there are things that I don't like. That just comes with Raw nowadays. I mean, the whole Nia Jax bit. I think that goes back to exactly what they're doing with like Nia, or not Nia, Natalya and her father and Roman Reigns. It's taking a real situation and disrespecting it. And the real situation is Nia Jax botched somebody and put her out of action and cost the fans a major main event. And instead, they're using it as an angle, and I'm not a fan of that. But as far as the show as a whole, I really did like it. I thought they had direction this time. So I think that alone makes this Raw better than a lot of Raws I've seen in recent memory. So I'm gonna give it. I want to give it like a 7 out of 10. I was originally going to give it a 6, but honestly, they carried a lot of the Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins bit throughout the show. Ronda Rousey, there was point to that. There was point to the beginning. There was a point to the end. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I feel like it was a stronger show than a 6. Because they're paying attention, and I like that. And the matches were decent. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to say 7 out of 10. I felt like I was entertained throughout most of it. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Kaged Nation out.